Now, see if you get it now.
What the
Microscope, and here you go again. Thank you. It changed the molecular structure of the water. Now,
could we be living in Satan's little season?
Hey guys, welcome back to another CZ Reacts, where we watch the fun, weird, crazy, and interesting and question everything. Real or fake, you decide, let me know, leave it in the comments below because I will meet you there after the video. The video is for entertainment purposes only, so let's get into it.
Bro, what do you have to do for them to show up like this? Bro, you gotta be like an organ trafficker or something, bro.
Big house, that's like a double.
Bro is probably Googling German war tactics or something. Bro was speaking out against Israel.
It was just a distortion that glided directly underneath me. I still, when I talk about it, still feel the same way I did when I saw it. And it glided underneath me. It was like Predator is the best way to describe it. It was just a
Ghislaine Maxwell's dad published our school textbooks, and Epstein Associated took our school photos. Her sister's company sends Amber Alerts to our phones. Everybody sprayed aerosol, Wexner products all over themselves. And Jeffrey Epstein owned justice. We're doomed. Ghislaine
Again, if that's true, like we're not mad enough. Like, I don't understand what's happening. This is so crazy.
Experiments done about the CIA. They spent millions of dollars on this, and they found out that diaphragmatic breathing and also focusing on manifesting while listening to binaural beats created something called the hemisync. You can tap into your brain, heart, and your conscious mind, and you can get them in synchronicity. And they found out that doing that puts you in touch with the source, so much so that you can manifest almost any reality that you want. It's one of the most powerful things that exist. There were some experiments.
If you're traveling the most dangerous road in America, aka I-40, don't fall for this one simple trick or you might disappear forever, especially if you're a single woman traveling alone. This is exactly what they want you to fall for and how they will capture you. If you did not know it, Interstate 40 is home to up to 500 active serial killers. I'm going to show you what they're going to do to try to trick you. They're going to find your vehicle at a gas station or a rest stop, and they're going to pull the windshield wiper up like that right there. Sometimes they'll do both sides, but mostly they're just going to do that driver's side. And then they're going to hide somewhere like this right over here in those woods in the darkness. Now, when you get back into your vehicle from wherever you were coming from, like a gas station or a rest stop, a lot of people actually will not notice that windshield wiper. And you're going to sit down right here in your driver's seat, and before you take off, you're going to notice that windshield wiper's there. Now, they are already watching you. They know you're alone. Okay, that's why they chose your windshield wiper when you pulled into the parking lot. What this is doing is it's getting you seated in your vehicle with your keys in here because they want to take your vehicle, not theirs. A lot of times, these people actually work in pairs, okay? So they've got another vehicle that's going to follow this vehicle once they take it. Now, once you notice this windshield wiper's up, you've got your keys on you. A lot of times you might have already started this car. What people mostly do will open this door and they're going to lean forward and try to push this thing down without even getting out of the car. Now, what you've done is you've started your car, you have the door open, and you're halfway in your car. They're going to rush over, push you in, and then they're going to take off.
Oh, that's so creepy.
And no one, and I mean no one, will ever hear from you ever again. They're mostly going to try to set up in places around like Arkansas and Oklahoma where there's big stretches of nothingness and big stretches of no cell phone service. There's also a huge stretch between Memphis and Nashville that is a prime hunting ground because it's about an hour and a half between each major city, and it is just pure darkness. There's no street lights out there. There's almost no cell reception. It is the perfect hunting ground for a serial killer. I am not one of the serial killers. I am not trying to tell you how to watch out for my competition so I can get you all to myself. That is not what I'm doing in these videos. I'm trying to raise awareness. Don't fall for these tricks. Follow this page for more tricks to watch out for. If you're
That is so scary, and I am totally including this. Sorry, this clip. I bit my tongue. I'm including this clip because, yeah, let's look out for each other. That is scary. Always need to be safe and have your head on a swivel.
No, see if you can get it done.
What the is that?
Spaceship.
It's a fucking... What is that?
I thought she was waiting for someone, but no one has come, and there's nothing she's staring at.
Oh no.
A person standing completely still on the sidewalk across the street.
This girl has been standing here completely like a statue, like this.
According to the OP, the girl had been standing there like a statue for over 15 minutes. No phone, no movement, no reaction to passing cars, just motionless.
Check this clip out.
Worse than that, everyone's talking about celebrity clones, but what if I told you it's not cloning? It's something the Bible warned us about 3,000 years ago. And you've seen it. Your favorite artist suddenly acts different, or your favorite actor, a different energy, different eyes. And people say they cloned them. But listen, cloning is the cover story for what's actually happening. The Canaanites practiced child sacrifice to Moloch, but it wasn't just killing. In Leviticus 18 and 21, they call it passing through the fire. They were performing soul transfer rituals, harvesting life force and putting entities into other bodies. That technology never died. It just went underground. When someone signs their life away to the industry, that's a covenant. It's a trauma-based programming, and it fractures the original soul. And rituals create the opening. The original person dies spiritually, and a prepared entity walks its way on in the same body, but a different driver. And that's why they seem off. In Mark 5 and 9, it says legion, multiple entities in one body, familiar spirits. In Leviticus 19 and 31, it says demons that mimic the person they replaced. This isn't new. It's ancient Canaanite tech repackaged for entertainment industrial complex. It explains sudden personality changes, lost memories, and different mannerisms, and doing unspeakable things without remorse, because their conscious left, and what's operating now is something else entirely. They don't clone bodies, they steal them, and you're watching it happen in real time.
Wow. So, I have not seen this clip before, but I know I've mentioned before, I feel like it's beyond cloning. But I just don't know what it is. But the feeling, maybe it's discernment, but I was like, that's the feeling I get was 100% like what he's talking about, like entities taking over. Like it goes beyond cloning. So, like, again, I don't know. I always say real or fake, you guys, but that lines up with like what I feel when I see the pictures of these people from way back when and to now and what they talk about in the industry. So, I'm so glad I came across that. It just kind of lines up with, yeah, I would go with discernment when I see these celebrities and elites and whatnot. How about you, though? Like, do you think it's cloning? Do you think it's what he's talking about? Demons, entities? Let me know.
My name is Giselle, wrote into Spooky Series for time. She was like, I had a really creepy experience with what I think was a creature, or at least a non-human entity, at a Walmart in Deltona, Florida. It gets really weird. So she said it was like 2 p.m. on a weekday, and she likes going to that Walmart neighborhood market because it's in a shopping plaza where she gets food, she gets her pedicures, and then she goes to Walmart and she does all her grocery shopping. So she does her normal errands, then she goes to Walmart and she starts in the produce section. Taking her time, she's making a little day of it. She picks up bananas, garlic, spinach, and then she makes her way over to grab some onions. And after she grabs the onions, she turns toward the apples and she notices that there's this man staring at a green apple, and he's very tall, he's very heavy set, and he has absolutely no hair. And that's not that weird in itself. Some people have alopecia. Never tell a story just because someone looked weird, right? But she said he had no hair, no eyebrows, no body hair. His skin was as smooth as a baby's, and he was also overwhelmingly pale. Wore all black clothing, which stood in stark contrast to his skin. And he's standing there holding a green apple. I got an apple. I have a prop for this video. And he's holding it like this, and he's examining it in the light, and he's turning it back and forth. And then she notices his left eye, because it's about 3 times the size of his right eye. It's completely black, and it seems to be protruding out of his face. And so she's standing there like, I've never seen a man that looks like this in my life. And she's looking around to see if anyone's staring at him, and she notices nobody's paying him any attention. He's standing there for a couple minutes, and he's still just examining this apple, just turning it back and forth, looking at it up and down, trying to figure out what's going on with it. And finally she gets curious, and she walks over to him. Thought he maybe just had some medical issues, but she was genuinely curious what his fascination was with this apple. So she walks over to him, and she says something like, haha, I always thoroughly examine my produce too. And he looks at her for a second, then he looks around, and he goes, are you talking to me? And she goes, yeah. And he gets like giddy, and he's smiling ear to ear, and she said his features seemed too large for his face, but she thought that maybe that was just because he was a very large man. Says as she started speaking to him, she noticed that his left eye, the one that was protruding from his face, had this like inky depth to it that sort of swirled around, and it made her feel comfortable. It made her feel like he was harmless. And he says, what are you here shopping for? He says, oh, just my normal groceries. What are you here for? And he said, nothing really. I'm just here looking around. And she thought that was kind of weird, but she's like, how much weirder could this interaction get? And she goes, well, I've pretty much gotten everything I need from this section, so I'm going to go have a good day. And he goes, can I walk with you? He said nothing about this man made her feel threatened whatsoever. It was the middle of the day. There's a ton of other people around. She's like, sure. So she starts walking through the store. He starts eating his apple, and he starts asking her all kinds of questions. He says, how much fruit do you eat? And then he says, this apple is delicious. And she says, yeah, apples are really good. And he says, do you like the sun? Do you go out in the sun a lot? He goes, yeah, I guess so. We live in Florida. And he said, interesting. Do all Walmarts have the same layout? And she goes, I don't know. He asks how old she is, and she says, I'm 22, which is how old she was at the time. And she thought really at this point that he just wanted somebody to talk to, that maybe he was just lonely. And she goes, how old are you? Just to be polite, And he says, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. It struck her as odd because he didn't look that old to her, but then he says, where have I seen you before? And she goes, we've never met before. And she's like thinking, trust me, I would remember. He goes, are you sure? No, we've met before. And that started to creep her out. They're still walking aisle to aisle. She's grabbing things she needs, and he's still asking her a ton of odd questions. And she starts to notice that everyone around her is staring. Like, they're stopping and staring, and she goes, this is so rude. Like, who stares at someone that they don't know like this? She starts to feel oddly protective of him, and they're still just talking back and forth. And finally, they get to, like, a cooler section, and she's grabbing some frozen things she needs. And she notices this family, and they all stop, and they're just looking at her. Then she became aware that people were staring at her, not the man. So she's like, is there something on my face? So she leans in the cooler door to see if there's something on her face. And when she backs up, she realizes that there's no reflection of whoever she's talking to. She turns around and the man is still standing to her left. She looks back in the reflection of the cooler and only sees her own reflection. She turns back to the man and he's smiling and he says, what's wrong? Said she actually blinked her eyes a few times to make sure that she wasn't just like imagining things. But the man standing there, solid as can be, leaned up against the cooler door, and she's like, I have to get out of here. So she's like, I think I've got everything I need. Like, I'm gonna head to checkout. And he's like, cool, I'll walk with you. So she's walking to checkout, and as she reaches the checkout line, she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get out of here. I hope you have a good day. Do you have any plans? And he says, can I get your phone number? She says, no, I'm sorry, I don't give my number out to strangers. And she's still aware that there's people standing around her watching her. He just says, okay, and he watches her go to the checkout line and start putting her things on the belt. And she's going through checkout, and she's still kind of keeping an eye on him, and he's standing at the front of the checkout line. But she said she wanted to see if he would walk out of Walmart, but he didn't. He just stood there watching her as she checked out. So she goes to pay, and when she looks back after paying, he's gone. Walks out of the Walmart, quickly walks to her car. She's kind of keeping an eye behind her the whole time to make sure that he's not following her. She gets in her car and she locks the doors, and she realizes that 3 hours have passed, and she's like, I only got like 8 items, so how could that much time have passed? I couldn't have been in there for more than 45 minutes. And she experienced a range of emotions, but she ultimately decided that she had nothing to do and she was curious about this man. So she drives her car a little bit closer to the entrance and she's watching the door. She parks her car, she's eating her bag of veggie straw. She said she sat there for an hour waiting for him to walk out because she was just curious. She wanted to see where he went, but he never came out. So eventually she's like, I'm going to go back in and see if I can find him. So she walks in, she makes her way through the aisles, but she can't find him again. She said she felt very confused and conflicted. She wanted answers more than anything, like who was he, where did he go? But eventually she came back out and she realized the sun was setting and she had an awful feeling in her stomach. So she just drove home and stayed in for the rest of the night. That happened in 2017, but to this day, she still thinks about it because she can't find any answers. She's like, I wonder if it looked like I was walking around Walmart talking to myself, because why wouldn't he have had a reflection? What was up with his eye? Why did I feel some sort of comfort when I looked into it? And why did he say that he knew me from somewhere? She said that's her normal Walmart. She has been there multiple times since 2017 when this happened, and she's never seen that man again. That was her real name. I'm not sure if she's going to be in the comments or not. Let her know your thoughts.
What was he if he could eat an apple? And then if nobody can see him, is there just an apple floating around getting bites taken out? My mind is just, I don't know. I love this story. I'm there for you guys. You know what's funny? Like, When I used to watch reaction channels, I was not big into the story clips. I think I actually skipped them most of the time. It wasn't until I started doing this where it wasn't about me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I got to include some story clips. And now I can't get enough of them. Like, I love story times. Let me know what you thought about that one. But I'm like, yeah, that, like, she probably did look crazy if he had no reflection, like nobody could see him. But what was he? Like, ghosts don't eat apples? So what was he? And did people see an apple floating around? Like, I need to know that. Oh my gosh.
I can almost guarantee that a lot of you spend more time looking for a film on Netflix than actually watching one.
So last night, I had made a video explaining that Netflix's recommendations for movies and their categories are normally not that great. They keep taking away movies that you want to watch, so it's really hard to find something to actually want to see. So because of that, I said that Netflix has secret codes that you can put into the search engine that'll automatically categorize what you want to watch and recommend certain shows and movies that they normally don't recommend, right? Well, somebody from Netflix had contacted me and said, be careful sharing those codes. Come here, don't tell me what to do. So I'm going to tell you guys all the codes right now that you can try. For action movies, you can type in 1365. It will show you all the action movies. For family friendly, 783. Comedy, 6548. Documentary, 6839. For scary movies, 8711. For sci-fi, 1492. And anime, 7424. Have fun.
What's a mistake you learned the hard way that you can now help people to avoid?
Every single girl has an FBI friend. Come here. What I mean by that is this. Every single girl has a friend that if they need information on a person, that friend can find it immediately. All they need is a name. They don't even need a last name. They just need the beginning letters of the first name, and they'll find out everything. If their friend has a date with a guy, the FBI friend will find out all the information about that guy before they go on that date, right? One time, I was on a date. I met the girl's best friend. As we're talking, I'm like, hi, my name is Jordan. They said, I know your name. They also said, I found out that your mom's a Gemini. How has that affected you while you were growing up? I'm sorry. Like that, I was honestly amazed. So if I were to ever meet you, should I just bring the bread and Doritos? Because if I were to shake your hand, you'd turn my fingers, my phalanges, into a nice shredded pastrami I could put over rye and season with a side of high-seat fruit punch over ice, brie. What happens if you want to rub my dog's stomach and you accidentally neuter him, brie? Who do I call for that? Who do I sue, brie? Chester has no huevos. You know what I'm saying? What happens when you use the restroom? Do you just have the car running for when you have to go to the ER? Do you call someone? How does that work? If I had your nails, they would find me dead in my apartment because my eyes would be gouged out because I had a fly come in and I try to get
black shirts. You're going to want to do a dry rot test. So put your fingers and pull. If it rips, easy.
Hey, there's other ways, to test to see if a shirt is good or not. My friend would do the dry rot testing where he would just rip the shirts in the store. That's fun. We were having a conversation while we were thrifting. I'm talking to him. Mid-conversation, he just rips a shirt. I'm like, hey, buddy, why are we doing that? He's explaining to me that it was a dry rot test, and this is how you see if the shirts are good quality or not, things of that nature. Well, the thrift store itself didn't find that too appealing because they charged him for every shirt that he ripped. He ripped 8 of them. He didn't have money, so I had to pay for the shirts. So come here, just ask the people if the shirts are good. You don't have to rip them.
I never knew about the Netflix codes, but did they make a difference? Because they also have the categories, like, of everything he said. So I don't know. You'll have to let me know if you tried it. The nails. How are you going to wipe your ass? Like, no. And I never heard of the dry rot test for shirts. Like, brand new information. So, I don't know, you guys. That was a lot.
Could we be living in Satan's little season? This is a rabbit hole that's been living rent-free in my head for weeks now, and congratulations. It's going to live rent-free in your head now, too. Satan's little season is the concept that we are not living in the Armageddon in Revelations, as it states in the Bible, but we are living in the time after that has already happened. Let's just get into it. So this is all based on this verse from Revelation 20. And he lay hold of the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed for a little season. So that's the verse that I'm referencing right now when I talk about this. A lot of Christians have been indoctrinated to believe that Revelations is happening, and we're seeing all these things play out. I'm sure you've come across very prominent accounts on these apps of people declaring and knowing for a fact that we are in the end times. However, this is where it gets really juicy. What if we are not living in the end times, but the end times has already happened? Everyone getting whisked away in the clouds and Jesus coming back to reign for 1,000 years. I could go into this because I've dived deep. So let's look at this timeline for just a moment, okay? He told his disciples that he was going to come back. Every single verse that he's talking about this in the Bible, he's talking about right now, the immediate. He's not talking about in the future. He's saying, your generation will come to see this. Not ours, theirs. Everything that everyone is thinking was this old world, old ancient technology, ancient old world buildings and things like that. That is actually, in this theory, all a part of Jesus's 1,000-year reign that took place. I've got something even further to explain this too. I'm sure you might have come across videos talking about how the timelines have been screwed up and that we have added anywhere from 700 to 1,000 years to our calendars that doesn't actually exist. When you look at the old world buildings, a lot of times it won't say founded in 1907, it'll say J907. So essentially what's happened is the J got turned into a 1, which would essentially add 1,000 years to our calendar. Boom! You've got Yeshua's 1,000-year reign right there. So that would mean that we are currently living in Satan's little season. Let's see, is there anything that would back up this theory that we are living in Satan's little season? We need to look no further than our political systems. We need to look no further than our media. We need to look no further than the way that the enemy, if you will, Satan, the adversary, is being blatantly thrown out there as if we should be worshiping them just like the celebrities are. We can't deny that fact, right? Another thing to look at is the lies and the deception that we've been living through for a few hundred years now. Another thing to look at is how there seems to be some type of nefarious underlying thing, right, that's going on in the world with the leaders, with the global elites, with the people who are running these countries. They actually have nefarious intentions, not just with all of us as a population who are all slaves, by the way. All of us, every single one of us right now are slaves to the system. We were never meant to live like this. And I think that the more and more people's consciousness is coming online onto the grid of understanding that we are collective consciousness. We do share a lot of the same thoughts about this world and what is good and what is bad. And that's a whole other discussion, right? But there are things that are intrinsically good that we know and things that are intrinsically bad that we know not to do, right? That all would make a lot of sense if we were living in Satan's little season. I don't know, you guys. Every single thing that I look into as far as this is concerned has been proven to fit the mold of this theory. And I find it fascinating because not only is this whole idea of Revelations and Jesus coming back, this is all very new age. It's a new age Christianity, which is hilarious. He already came back. He already came back. So what does that mean for Christians? They're waiting for the return of Christ. You still are. He's going to come back after Satan's little reign. It has a time limit on it. It will expire. It will be done soon. And I find it so fascinating that this is all lining up with the age of Aquarius, with Pluto moving into Aquarius. These are things that scholars cannot deny, okay? The scholars, the mystics, everyone cannot deny that all of these timelines are finally converging to this one point, even the Bible. So, I want to hear your thoughts on this theory. I love it. I actually think it makes perfect sense. Anyway, okay. Yep, I could go on forever. Leave me a comment. Let's talk about it. I love you.
I'm not gonna lie, that thought has crossed my mind 1,000,001 times. Yeah, it seems to be It's not something I can prove. It's just a thought that I've had. But yeah, what do you guys think? I know a lot of Christians I know will say end times, but I think around 2020 is when I was just like, what if it's not? And kind of gravitated towards what she's been talking about Satan's season. So let me know your thoughts. Drop it in the comments. We can discuss there.
He then looked at the beakers with the water in it, again, fresh water, closed his eyes and just thought. He just pictured in his head the beaker of water and he thought, thank you. And this was done in different languages with different people because he can't speak all the languages. The water was frozen, crystals would test under a microscope, and here you go again. Thank you. It changed the molecular structure of the water. Now, let me show you a little chart here. Let's put these up. You can see what happened when the word wisdom was used. It's a different molecular structure. Let's look at what happens when truth, the word truth, is used, either as a word, either as a spoken word or a thought. Look at the word eternal. And again, it doesn't matter if it's in English or what language. Look at angel. Now look at I love you. So if you say I love you to someone or even think it, look at the beautiful structure that's created in water with that frequency, either in words, spoken words, written words, or thought. Now, let's look at this. You fool. If you call somebody you fool or think of somebody you fool, look what it does to the water. You've cursed the water. Look at you make me sick. Look at what happens to the structure of water with the words or thought or spoken words, you make me sick. Look at the word evil, what it does to water. Now, here's a before and after photo. Polluted water before prayer. That same polluted water, an hour later, after prayer. When you pray, you're changing the structure of water. When you bless something, you're changing the structure of water. When you have words written in your house on the wall and water sees those words, the structure of water is changed for the positive or the negative. When you're playing music and words are being spoken, oh, bitch, I'm gonna fuck you up, blah, 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 blah. It's having an adverse effect on the water structure. When you have beautiful music being played with beautiful lyrics, it's having a positive effect on the water. When you think positive thoughts, it's having a positive effect on the water. You are 70% water, remember? Your brain is 85% water, remember? When you curse somebody, you're adversely affecting them because it's affecting the water in their body. When you send blessings to someone, it's positively affecting them because it's changing the molecular structure of the water in their body. But here's the good news and the bad news. When you curse somebody, yes, it's adversely affecting them, but the research shows that it has a 100 times more negative effect on the water in your body.
Okay, who believes this? I do. Have I done the testing? No, but I do believe this. I've seen so many clips over the past year where people have spoken about speaking to water. I have my copper water bottle and I always speak lovely to my water before I drink it. But how crazy is this? Like, blows my mind. It is the most beautiful thing ever, and just so it's so eye-opening, especially what he said at the end. I've always believed words have power. You know, you can weaponize them. Like, it's insane. But to hear how much damage it does to yourself using words as weapons, like, wow. I absolutely love this clip. I hope you guys enjoy this clip. I love this clip.
This is a Caribbean flamingo. Actually, San Antonio Zoo is one of the first zoos to actually successfully breed them. It's not breeding season now, but every single day is a feeding day, and these guys have got a very unique way of feeding. See that funny bend in his beak there? Hello? 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 How cool is that? That is just the coolest thing you've ever seen.
Every time. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. No.
What's he want, your fish mouth? That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. What's going on with this guy? Hey!
All right, you guys, I am going to end it there. I hope you liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know. I'll meet you in the comments. Do not forget to question everything. And until next time, stay safe.